So we've already been here once in these Wonderkid clubs with France, but we are heading back there once again. In this video, we're going to take a look at 6 of the, let's say, bigger clubs in France to see what kind of youth players they can manage to produce. We will kick things off with probably one of the smaller clubs in this video. I think there's 2 clubs that I would say are quite small. We have Châteauroux, who are currently in Ligue 2 in this simulation. We're obviously 5 seasons into the future, and they are very, very consistent in getting some pretty decent players. Now, whilst the potential of 120 to 130 might not sound amazing, it's still good enough to do a job in quite a lot of teams in a Football Manager save. It's only when you get to the biggest boys in the world that that's not going to be very good. We've got Kylian Carriere, who has 122 potential ability. He is one of a total of 12 players with 120 to 129 potential ability that have come through the Châteauroux youth intake or the last 5. We've also got Matthias Andre, who has 124 potential ability. He's moved over to Bourges Perones. We've also got Jamal Amouche, who has 126 potential ability. Jean-Louis Lafont with 128 potential. Thierry Michel with 129 potential. And Noel Laroche, who also has 129 potential. Obviously, there are more players with 120 to 129 to talk about, but we're going to move up the ladder and we're going to head to the 130s and above. And in this simulation, Châteauroux managed to produce 8 players with 130 to 140 potential. They didn't produce anybody higher than that, but 8 players is a ridiculously large amount of players to produce when you consider they only managed to get 45 players in these 5 simulations. 8 of them are going to be good enough to play arguably Premier League, especially Ligue 1 level of football. We've got Gaëtan Lonfier, who has 130 potential. Nana Kassé has 131 potential. I like the look of him. Armel Kalonji has 132 potential. Adam Riviere also has 132 potential. Rolly Mbemba has 134 potential. Jean-Michel Bernard has 135 potential. And then 2 players with 138 potential is Ferdinand Boulet, who is a 19-year-old French striker who's got some really low numbers, but in positions and things that you're not really too fussed about, like long throws, marking and tackling. Arguably, positioning of 1 might be a problem for a striker, but you know, he scored a goal in 19 first-team appearances. We also have Elton Diaz, who is a Cape Verdean international, 7 caps and 1 goal to his name as well. Attacking midfielder, striker. I'd argue he's more of an attacking midfielder. I don't know why, that's just me. Mentally, looks like he's got some good numbers in some good places. That 16 technique stands out to me. He's got some high dribbling, first touch and passing, and everything else isn't very good. But arguably, maybe you don't need him good at corners and free kicks and throws and marking. That's just wasted attributes. In another simulation, Kodjivo Yesufu has also come through the Châteauroux youth intake. A Togolese international, also part French, but because of the rules in France means most Africans can actually play there anyway. So Yesufu has come in. He has 143 potential ability. He's already moved over to Lyon as well. He looks good. Obviously, 143 potential is going to be good. Club number 2 is Nancy-Lorraine, who I think technically might even be smaller than Châteauroux, but there we are. They are in actually the 3rd division in French football. In this simulation, in real life, I think they might be 2nd tier. They're a kind of bit of a yo-yo side. In fact, they've dropped down in this simulation to the 4th division. So, Nancy-Lorraine might be one of the worst teams in this video. Let's take a look. In the last 5 seasons of this simulation, Nancy have managed to produce a total of 25 players out of 53 who should be good enough, if they reach their potential, to play a pretty high level of football, which is madness. That means 120 potential or higher. Nicolas Gabarit is one of those players. He has 122 potential ability. And he is just one of 13 players with 120 to 130 potential. Patrick Kaminski is another one. He also has 122 potential ability. Yassine Barthélemy has 126 potential ability at just 17 years of age as well. Looks quite good. And Ambrose Arayapin is another one of these players with that range. He's got 128 potential ability. He looks really good. He's also signed for FC Nantes. There are also 12 players with 130 to 140 potential as well that have come through in the last 5 seasons. Emir Mesic has 131 potential ability, left back from Bosnia. Also with 131 potential is Ludovic Valet, who is a French attacking midfielder, winger, striker, whatever you want to call him. Kevin Langlois has 132 potential ability as a striker. Doesn't look very good at the moment, but still only 18. Theobald Burl also has 132 potential ability, as does Abdoulaye Karuma, who actually looks really, really good now. Rayan Orbel has 132 potential ability. Is he like his brother? No, we've just got two Orbels that came through in the same youth intakes with very similar potential. Clement Jourdain has 133 potential, as does Eduardo Mendes. With 135 potential ability, we have Alain Massa. Thomas Ziegler also has 135 potential ability. Stefan Camini has 137 potential ability. He looks quite good. I don't know what it is, but there's something about him that makes me really like him. I think it's his mental numbers. There's lots of yellow there. And the best one to come through in these 5 simulations for Nancy is Jean Thulier, who has 139 potential ability and a broken leg, apparently, so he's not going to be playing football for too much longer. But still, Thulier is obviously very, very good. 139 potential is pretty decent. But if I say that they've managed to produce a player who's a lot better than that, you probably would believe me, wouldn't you? And that's because in 2 other simulations, they managed to produce players with 147 potential ability. Luca Boucher is one of those players currently playing for Lyon. Played a few times actually for Rodez by the looks of it, and he's wanted by Inter Milan. And in another simulation, Gerard Tessier also has 147 potential. Nancy Lorraine are a good club to go check out, and their players aren't massively expensive in the grand scheme of things. Next up, we have Valenciennes, a club that have basically floundered in the second tier of French football for effectively, I think, about 25 seasons in this simulation. We're going to take a look to see how they get on when it comes to youth players. We've got a total of 13 players that I will classify as alright. They're not going to be amazing, but they're going to be okay if they manage to hit their peak, and that is at 120 to 130 potential. Dennis Payen is one of those players. He has 123 potential. We've also got Vincent Chaliou, who has 129 potential, as does Michel De Lillo, who is an Italian right winger. And also with 129 potential ability, we have Zeferino Diaz, who is a French and Angolan left back. Over the course of these 5 season simulations as well, they have on average produced 5 to 10 players with 130 or above potential ability. Prefit Pierre-Louis is one of those players, a Haitian centre-back, 23 caps to his name at 19 years of age. He has 131 potential. Gaël Essor, who is a Martinique striker, has 132 potential. Loic Fritsch has 134 potential, and apparently he's been forced to play as a left back and a centre back. Raimondo DiMarco has 135 potential. He looks like he could be really good. With 137 potential, we have Moussa Kane, a Senegalese and French right and left winger. Alain Bupenza also has 137 potential ability. He looks quite good. He's also got 13 caps for Gabon at just 18 years of age. Sacha Lamy Boulet has 138 potential ability, 19-year-old French central midfielder. Got some numbers in some really good places. First touch, heading, passing technique, all quite useful. Although heading and being 5'8", maybe not so useful. And with 139 potential ability, we have William Boudin, who is probably not a centre-back because he's got 8 tackling and 8 heading, but he is probably more of a defensive midfielder. 17 years of age, French midfielder, looks pretty good. We've also got one more player to talk about, and that is Jordan Lebonge Mosen, who has 157 potential ability, 18 years of age, already playing first-team football for Valenciennes, 60 league appearances with 16 goals as well. Lebonge Mosen, which is a difficult name to say, is definitely going to be very, very good. In another simulation as well with Valenciennes, they managed to produce 2 pretty decent players. David Fuda is one of them. He has 141 potential ability. He's moved over to AC Milan for about £2.2 million, potentially going to 7.25. And Brahim C. Salem is the best one to come through from Valenciennes. He has 167 potential ability, signed for PSG, obviously. Spent the season out on loan at Antwerp, playing a fair amount of football as well. 2.3, potentially going to £5.75 million. Check out Valencia. They're not cheap, but they're also pretty good. Next up, we are moving into Ligue 1 with Havre AC, a team that produce ridiculously amounts of good players. Every season they're producing maybe 5 or so players with 120 potential or above, and then maybe 5 to 10 with 130 or above as well. Le Havre are very, very good. In this simulation alone, they managed to produce 14 players with 120 to 130 potential. Matthias Favre is one of them. He has 122 potential, but 103 current ability, so looks quite good. They also managed to produce 9 players with 130 to 140 potential. 9 players is 2 players per season, essentially. Ibrahim Sene is one of them. He has 131 potential. Thomas Burgess has 135 potential. Mohamed Amin Leoa has 136 potential, and Julian Reynald has 138 potential. Obviously, there are 9 players. We're not going to look at all of them. We've still got some more to talk about, though. We also had 3 players with 140 to 150. Hugo Kaufman is the first at 141 potential ability. He looks rubbish and he's 20. He needs game time. Frederick Banza has 145 potential ability at 20. He doesn't look rubbish. He is getting a bit of game time. Needs more. And Mohamed Humadi has 147 potential ability. French and Comoran is his nationalities. Looks quite good. 20 years of age as well. Still not looking amazing. Needs some football. There's 3 players with 140 to 150 potential who need some game time. There's also 2 players with 150 to 160 potential. Owen Dumont is the first, 153 potential ability. 19 years of age. Needs game time. This seems to be a kind of thing with Le Havre. They just don't seem to play their high potential players. And Christian Nemec has 159 potential ability. Slovenian, and only Slovenian, came through the Le Havre youth intakes. Not sure how he's not part French, but there we are. But by far and away the best player to come through Le Havre's youth intakes in this 5-season simulation is Patrick Bakayoko, 17 years of age, French, and I think Cameroonian central defender, 181 potential ability, and he's not the best player that Le Havre have managed to produce in all of these simulations. That would be Wesley Joseph Louis, who has 188 potential ability, defensive midfielder. He doesn't look very good at the moment. Once again, Le Havre have high potential players, just not playing them. He's 19, guys. Get him some game time. Now, doing this simulation in France inspired me to do a save with Toulouse, because every single youth intake that Toulouse have had in these simulations, which is 25 intakes, they have produced some very, very good footballers, 130 potentials and higher, all over the place. In this intake, we're going to take a look to see what they've done, and they have a potential world-class footballer coming through. Just the 8 players with 120 to 130 potential ability. We've got Cedric Simonet, who is one of those players. He has 123 potential ability, but we're not focusing that low. We're going to look higher when it comes to Toulouse. We've also got 8 players with 130 to 140 potential ability. Jonathan Fortune is one of those players. He has 134 potential. But we're not looking at those players either. We're going higher. There are a total of 8 players with 140 to 150 potential coming through the Toulouse youth intakes. Ali Valanjara, who is a Comoran international right back, has 142 potential ability. And obviously, we've got 8 of these, so let's fly through them very quickly. Matteo Arnal has 143 potential. Ricardo Santana has 145 potential. Abdou Karim Gay has 146 potential, as does Antoine Marie, the goalkeeper. Rodolfo Barthez has 147 potential. Jean-Marc Henry has 149 potential. And Julian Marshall also has 149 potential ability. Now, you might think 8 players with 130 to 140 potential ability is pretty good. We've still got 3 more players to go. With 151 potential ability, we have Nolan Jordan, a 19-year-old French defender, will obviously be good enough to probably play for the France national side. 19 years of age, probably needs a bit more game time right now, but obviously we know the potential's there. He's going to be good. With 153 potential ability, we have Jules Rouvière, who is currently playing first-team football at 18 years of age as a centre-back, 2 under-21 caps as well for France. He looks very good. If I found this man, I'd want to sign him, and then I'd look at his value and go, I probably can't afford that. And finally, we have Ralph Chiab, who is French and Algerian, not really playing for the Toulouse first team, but a value of 22 to 67 million pounds, which means he's obviously going to be very, very good. And that very, very good is 182 potential ability. He's going to be absolutely ridiculous. But we do not stop there, because in a different simulation, Toulouse managed to produce a player who was even better. With 191 potential ability, we have Sylvain Andre, 19 years of age, French attacking midfielder, left winger, striker, worth potentially up to £100 million. He's spent a season out on loan at FCSM and also at, I believe that's St Etienne as well, down in Ligue 2, getting some game time though in Ligue 1 for Toulouse. Not scoring a lot of goals for a striker, but obviously, with that ridiculously high potential in the 190s, he's going to be world class. And speaking of players who are going to be world class, FC Sochaux Montbéliard have managed to produce probably one of, if not the best player that I have seen come through any of these Wonderkid clubs intakes, which, by the way, I've done like nearly 30 of them now. each of them have 5 different simulations of 5 seasons worth of intakes. Though there are hundreds and hundreds of intakes, Sochaux and Montbéliard have produced the best one in my opinion. But before we get to that, we do also have players who are still pretty decent as well. There are 8 players in total with 130 to 140 potential. There are actually, in this simulation, 13 players with 120 to 130. We've got Amir Zitouni, who has 133 potential. Matteo Prévost has 134 potential. And Sebastian Gerard has 138 potential, but we also have players going way above and beyond that. 3 players break into the 140s with Patrice Acker with 144 potential. Pierrick Didier has 147 potential. And Etienne Penot has 149 potential, but we are still obviously going higher. Maxime Lefebvre has 156 potential ability, currently out injured, but also looks quite good at just 19 years of age. Edgar Everard has 157 potential ability. He's only just broken into the Sochaux Montbéliard first team as well. He needs to be getting a lot more game time. Somebody who's probably a bit too young to get some game time right now is Mathieu Gingin, which is a great name. He has 166 potential ability, 16 years of age, central defender, already looks quite good. If I was in charge of Montbéliard, or Sochaux is actually what they're called, isn't it? If I was in charge of Sochaux, I'd be playing Gingin, partially because of his name. And one player that I would definitely be playing is Jean-Luc Nuhard, who has 123 current ability, 198 potential ability. He is going to be the best right back the world has ever seen. Arguably, now is the time, if you were playing this as Sochaux, you would look at this guy and go, is he a right back? Now is the time at 17 years of age to retrain him to be something else. You've got the time to make him a central midfielder if you want. Even a striker, 7 finishing, he could turn that around, get him retraining fully as a pressing forward, and he could become one by the time he's 20, and he'd be a very good one. Nuhard is one of the best footballers in the world, or will be. Speaking of one of the best footballers in the world, Erling Haaland comes from a country called Norway, as you probably well know. Well, this video on screen will take a look at some sides in Norway where you can potentially pick up the next, maybe Erling Haaland, maybe Martin Odegaard, maybe even the next Oscar Bob, who knows?